In the heart of a quaint town, shrouded in perpetual fog, the locals whispered tales of an enigmatic figure known only as the Painter. This shadowy artist was a subject of both awe and fear, as no one had ever seen their face, only glimpses of a cloaked silhouette hurriedly moving through the misty streets at dusk. Their reclusive nature only added to the mystique, with stories passed down of the painter's bizarre nocturnal habits and the strange glow emanating from their secluded studio deep in the heart of the town. Rumors swirled about the painter's works, each more unsettling than the last. It was said that the subjects of these paintings, once vibrant members of the community, had vanished without a trace, leaving behind grieving families and a palpable sense of dread. These portraits, masterpieces of eerie realism, seemed to capture not just the physical likeness of their subjects, but also a fragment of their very soul, trapped forever within the canvas. Amidst this backdrop of fear and fascination, a daring journalist named Clara ventured into the town. Armed with a notepad and an insatiable curiosity, Clara sought to uncover the truth behind the myths of the painter. Her quest was driven by a blend of professional zeal and a personal quest for a gripping story that could make her career. Clara's arrival in the town was met with a chilling reception. The locals, usually wary of outsiders, were even more guarded when she mentioned the painter. Their eyes would dart away and conversations would cease, replaced by an oppressive silence that seemed to hang heavily in the air. The few who dared speak uttered cryptic warnings advising her to leave before nightfall, but Clara's determination only grew stronger. Undeterred, Clara began her investigation, her steps leading her towards the heart of the town where the painter's studio was rumored to be. The narrow cobblestone streets twisted and turned, each corner veiled in mist, as if the town itself was a labyrinth designed to protect its darkest secret. As night began to fall, the dim light from the street lamps cast eerie shadows and the air grew colder, setting the stage for Clara's ominous encounter with the unknown. As Clara delved deeper into her investigation, she discovered a chilling pattern in the stories of the missing townsfolk. Each had been approached by the painter for a portrait, expressing initial delight at being chosen for such an honor, only to disappear within days of their sitting. This revelation only intensified the enigma surrounding the painter, whose identity and motives remained shrouded in mystery. Clara's notes began to fill with sketches of the town, snippets of overheard conversations, and a growing list of names, all linked by the thread of the painter's ominous influence. Clara's search led her to the town's archives, a musty, dimly lit room nestled in the back of the local library. Here she pored over old newspapers and records, uncovering the forgotten history of the town. She found articles dating back decades, filled with praises for the painter's extraordinary talent. Yet as the years passed, the tone shifted to unease and fear as more individuals featured in the artwork went missing. The articles became less frequent and then stopped altogether, as if the town itself wanted to forget its once celebrated artist. Among the dusty tomes, Clara stumbled upon an old photograph of a smiling family. On the back, a note read, "Commissioned by the painter, summer of 1954. The faces in the photo were hauntingly familiar. They matched the descriptions of some of the missing people from her list. The realization hit Clara like a wave of cold dread. The painter had been active for much longer than anyone realized, and their work was not just art, but a sinister legacy spanning generations. Night had fallen by the time Clara emerged from the archives, her mind racing with the implications of her discoveries. The town seemed different in the darkness, each shadow stretching longer and each whisper of the wind sounding like hushed conversations. She felt eyes upon her, though the streets were empty. The weight of the town's secret history pressed down upon her, and she knew she was getting closer to the truth, yet also more entangled in its web. Clara's next step was clear. She had to find the painter's studio. According to the locals' reluctant directions and her own mapping of the town, it lay in an older, more secluded part of town where the fog hung even heavier and the buildings leaned close as if conspiring to keep their secrets. Clara's footsteps echoed on the cobblestones as she made her way towards what she hoped would be the heart of the mystery, her resolve firm despite the creeping fear that began to take hold. Clara's journey through the foggy, labyrinthine streets eventually led her to a decrepit mansion at the edge of town. Its once grand facade was now marred by time, the windows like unblinking eyes in the dim moonlight. This, she realized with a shiver, was the painter's studio. Overgrown vines clung to the walls and the air was thick with the scent of decay. Despite the fear gripping her heart, Clara's journalistic instincts pushed her forward, her hand trembling as it reached for the ancient door knocker. The mansion's interior was a surreal gallery of the painter's work. Canvases lined the walls, each portraying a resident of the town. The paintings were unsettlingly lifelike, their eyes seeming to follow Clara as she moved through the hall. The further she ventured, the older the paintings appeared, chronicling decades of the painter's macabre legacy. Dust and cobwebs adorned the frames, and the silence was oppressive, broken only by the creaking of the wooden floor under her feet. In the heart of the mansion, Clara found the main studio. Canvases of various sizes were strewn about, and paint tubes and brushes lay scattered across a large, worn table. At the center of the room stood an unfinished portrait. It depicted a young girl, her expression one of serene yet haunting beauty. Something about the painting was different. It pulsed with an eerie energy, as if the girl's very essence was trapped within the canvas. As Clara examined the portrait, she heard a voice behind her, raspy and laced with age. "Beautiful, isn't it?" The painter stood there, cloaked in shadow, their face still hidden. The air grew colder as they approached Clara, who turned to face them, her fear momentarily overridden by the need for answers. "Why?" she asked, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. "Why all this?" The painter's response was cryptic, a hint of sorrow in their tone. To capture beauty is to trap it forever, to save it from the ravages of time. The conversation between Clara and the painter was tense, filled with unspoken questions and veiled threats. The painter spoke of their art as if it were a noble act, a means to immortalize the subjects. But Clara saw the truth in the sadness of the painted eyes that surrounded them. She realized that the painter's gift was a curse, one that consumed both the artist and the subject. As the truth dawned upon her, Clara knew she had to expose this horror to the world. But the question remained, how would she escape the mansion with its secrets and its guardian? The tension in the air was palpable as Clara faced the painter. Their conversation had revealed much, yet so much remained shrouded in darkness. Clara's mind raced, searching for a way to escape with the evidence of the painter's sinister deeds. The room felt suffocating, the painted eyes of the painter's victims seeming to plead for release. Clara's heart pounded as she edged towards the door, her eyes never leaving the shadowy figure of the painter. Suddenly, the painter moved, their movement swift and almost ghostly. Clara dashed towards the door, her breath coming in quick gasps. The mansion seemed to come alive around her, the portrait's eyes following her every move, the walls seeming to close in. She could hear the painter's footsteps echoing behind her, a haunting reminder of the danger that lurked within these walls. Clara's escape through the mansion was a blur of terror and desperation. She stumbled through dark corridors, her only guide the dim moonlight filtering through the grimy windows. The once grand rooms now felt like a maze designed to trap the unwary. The air was heavy with the scent of old oil paints and decay. Each breath Clara took filled with the weight of the mansion's tragic history. Finally, Clara burst through the front door, emerging into the cool night air. Her lungs ached as she gulped in the fog-laden breaths. She didn't stop to look back, her legs carrying her swiftly away from the mansion and its ghastly secrets. The town, once an intriguing mystery, now felt like a prison, and Clara's only thought was to leave it behind. As dawn began to break, Clara reached the outskirts of the town. Her mind was a whirlwind of emotion, fear, relief, determination. She knew she had to share her story with the world, to reveal the truth about the painter. But the haunting images of the trapped souls in the paintings lingered in her mind. Clara wondered if she had truly escaped, or if a part of her would forever remain in the grip of the painter's cursed legacy. Clara's return to the outside world was marked by a mix of relief and a heavy burden of responsibility. The story she carried was not just hers to tell, but also of those lost to the painter's grim artistry. As she made her way back to civilization, her mind replayed the harrowing events, the eerie silence of the mansion and the haunting gaze of the painter. Despite her escape, the shadows of the night lingered, a constant reminder of the darkness she had witnessed. Once back in the safety of her own world, Clara began to compile her findings. She pored over her notes, the photographs she had taken, and the vivid memories that played over in her mind. The story she wrote was not just an exposé of a dark artist, but a tale of a town gripped by fear and a legacy of lost souls. Her words flowed onto the page, each sentence heavy with the weight of the truth she had uncovered. Clara's article, when published, caused an immediate sensation. It was a story that captivated and horrified in equal measure. Readers were drawn into the mystery of the painter, the chilling reality of the portraits, and the courage of one woman's quest to uncover the truth. The story spread far and wide, igniting discussions and debates, with many questioning the line between art and morality. However, the impact of Clara's story went beyond the written word. The authorities, prompted by her revelations, launched an investigation into the mansion and the painter. What they found was a time capsule of horror, decades of portraits, each a testament to a life mysteriously ended. The painter, however, was nowhere to be found, their identity and fate as enigmatic as their art. In the aftermath, Clara struggled with the consequences of her discovery. She had exposed the truth, but at what cost? The faces of those in the portraits haunted her dreams, a silent chorus of the damned. Yet amidst the darkness, there was a glimmer of hope, a hope that her story had given voice to the voiceless, and that the legacy of the painter would serve as a cautionary tale about the depths to which obsession can lead. As she penned her final thoughts, Clara realized that this story, though concluded, would forever be a part of her, a chapter in her life as indelible as the strokes of the painter's brush.